The condition is really crazy condition.
I mean, that shouldn't give away the whole secret to professional windsurfing.
Matteo Iachino giving Antoine Albo a run for his money. Here we go. What a finish.
The guy is kind of talking bullshit.
The team's just got to work a little harder. Welcome to the Windsurfing Podcast, back again for episode 42. And this week, I think we have the keenest, most committed, probably most motivated wave sailor I have ever met. No joke. This guy would probably not think twice about jumping on a plane for a 4-day forecast in Oz, flying from the UK. In fact, I think it's happened. He's not made his name, a name for himself by, winning PWA competitions or doing the tour, although he has competed. He's made a name for himself through the media, through going on travel trips and reporting, traveling around with the legendary JC. He has got a story, trust me, and he's going to tell a lot in this podcast. He's done all this while keeping down a full-time job and a family. It's impressive stuff, I can tell you this. He's also just launched his new company, Foamlife. And here to tell you all about it and all the stories that go with it is, of course, the one and only Timo Mullen.
Hey Timo, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Been a while.
I'm good, mate. It's been a while. Definitely been a while. Yeah, I think it's Cape time. It was the last time we got to hang out.
Yeah, you recorded a pretty epic monologue on my video, so while you were filming. So
yeah, I think that was a mutual thing that we were passing the time of videoing each other and just literally ripping it out of each other. Which
yeah, but you're just you're just a bit better at the banter. That's for sure. I give you that. Yeah. So we were supposed to meet a couple of days ago, but you said you needed time to make your hair. I have to say, it looks fabulous.
Yeah, my family cut my hair. We got into the lockdown haircuts, and I just bought a set of clippers. And there's no more math. There's mathematics to it. It's 8 all over, 4 on the sides. That's it.
All right. Life advice. Timo Mullen, life advice. Now we can finish the podcast.
Yeah. Cool.
But no, actually, you couldn't do it because you were on a forecast, as you always are.
Yeah.
Are you the most excited windsurfer on the planet still at age 48? 48. You said 68 the other day. I feel like I'm 68. But I think I'm the same as all windsurfers. I'm just frothing all the time. So I just I'm pretty energized by it, that's for sure. But I try just to make the most of my time on the water, I think. So I'm people say here, 1 minute I'm in Cornwall, 1 minute I'm in Scotland, next minute I'm in Ireland. But I just, I work a lot. I've always worked since I left school. So windsurfing's always been 50-50. So when I do get free time, I really maximize that time. So that's probably why more. And also living in, Northern Europe, you just gotta take it while it's there. So I think that's generally most Northern European windsurfers, I think, are kind of like that. Maybe I'm just kind of, but not really. I wasn't. I was in Brittany the other last autumn, and the guys from South Brittany, they wouldn't drive 2 hours to North Brittany. So I think you're a little bit different. I mean, some of your stories are pretty legendary. Did you fly to Gnaraloo, most remote place, for a weekend? Is that true?
Yeah, it's kind of true.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say it was the ideal thing for carbon footprint, but I actually got Severn. I think like all the team got injured, like kind of at the same time. And Ben phoned me up out of the blue and just said, I'd been in Australia in October, and then Ben rang me up in December and said, what are you doing next week? And I was like, I don't know. The forecast looks quite good at home. I don't know where I'm going to go sailing. And he goes, we might want you to do some photos. And I was like, oh, sick. Like, are you sending me out some new gear? And he went, no, in Australia. And then he said, can you get on a flight tomorrow? And I said, well, not really. And he went, no, we're going to pay for everything. Like, have a look at flights. And I looked on flights while I was on the phone for him. I said, yeah, there's one tomorrow evening. And he said, cool, book that. And we'll fly you back in 5 days, because I needed to be back home for work. And I flew in. The boys picked me up. We actually didn't go as far as Gnaraloo, but we went to Jarrow, back to Perth, to Margaret River. And actually, my flight was I had to be home for work. And my flight was leaving in the evening. And we didn't leave Margaret River, because everyone knows Margaret River, it gets good in the evening. And it just started to get really good, like as I was supposed to be leaving for my flight. And Ben was just like, he's just like, don't worry, you're stressing out too much. And literally I got to the check-in, like literally they said we're closing in 1 minute, so yeah, that trip was pretty gnarly, because it was, I was in Australia for just 4 days. So
okay, so that's kind of for Severn, but for yourself, you're like I heard you're like you drive 20 hours to sail one afternoon, in total.
Yeah, so where I live in the UK, I live right on the south coast of England, and like the best conditions, the best spot in mainland UK, so not including Ireland and Northern Ireland, is Scotland, North Scotland, and there's a spot we go there on called the Isle of Lewis. I think Leon's been there. I've done a few videos and photo trips there, but we go there a lot. But it's so good. It's like pretty sick, but it's obviously 14 hours from my house driving straight without a stop to the ferry. And then you got a 4-hour ferry and then like another hour's drive to the spot. But we've worked out now, we can leave work, finish work at 5:30 on a Friday evening, and we can be windsurfing like the spot the next day by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So yeah, we'll go up if it's on, because it's worth it. And we'll go up, we'll sail for the Saturday and the Sunday. Normally, obviously, a low pressure in Northern Europe only lasts 2 days. And then we can get the Sunday afternoon ferry back and still be back in work for 9 o'clock on the Monday morning. So yeah, we've done that a few times. It kills us. If you've got 2 guys, you can share. Obviously, you still get your 8 hours sleep because you split the driving. So it sounds really bad, but actually when you split the drive and fall asleep, you actually still get a full night's sleep. So it's if you've traveled to Australia, like when you go to Australia and say you've done that, they think nothing of it. So it kind of like from traveling to Australia so much and hanging out with Scotty and those guys, they just think nothing of driving, leaving Margaret River and going to and sail Gnaraloo the next day, which we all know is like a 14-hour road trip, So I kind of got the, like, growing up, hanging out with those guys when I was younger, you kind of like went, if you're going to go, you got to go, So I think of the people who don't do it, I think they're weird. I'm like, why wouldn't you go? It's epic up there and flat here. Yeah, of course you're going to go. So,
Yeah, and the thing is, if once you're there, you never regret you're there. You know what I mean? You never look back, even if it's like subpar. You're never gonna be like, oh, I wish I stayed at home. And
yeah,
you know,
like we don't get me wrong, we've been skunked. Like we've had some like skunkings where maybe we've only sailed for 30 minutes. You know, the forecast just didn't come through. But like you got to pay your dues, I guess. You know, that's. But I guess we're pretty out there when we do it.
Yeah. My theory is the further north, the worse the forecasting gets somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know why, but it's like in Poland, it can be so off. Like it's incredible.
Yeah, we got them pretty, like as time goes on, you get to know the forecast better. And like, you know, I think for Leon, when he went, like I can kind of get somebody to go there and they'll get exactly what, you know, he's like, God, it was exactly as you said it was. And I was like, yeah, no, but I couldn't go that time. I was gutted, but it's quite good. You can send a guinea pig like him up there and you go, okay, next time I know that forecast is on.
Yeah.
So.
Do you write it down or something? Like it said, you just remember, because there's so many spots and, you know, it's like the wind needs to be on that perfect angle and the wave and the tide. And there's just a lot of factors and you multiply that by, just in the UK, there's probably 20 spots you're watching or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
like I think, like the spots that are really sensitive to the wind direction, we try not to go there so much because you can get really skunked. But like the spots we go now, try and go to the more chance you have of getting like, you know, if the wind's west, southwest or southwest, it doesn't really matter. There's still a spot just as good. So yeah, that's obviously when I fly back home to Ireland, that's when, you know, you can maximize your time. So yeah. But yeah, I'd say, like I guess I am a bit extreme on it.
Yeah, I can confirm. Having hanged out a bit in Cape Town, which is like everything's super close, you still manage to burn some gas.
So we like in Cape Town that time, we went to Elands Bay and there was no wind in Cape Town for like 6 days, I think it was. And we stayed in Elands Bay for 6 days and we sailed every day. Like,
alone.
And it wasn't alone, and it wasn't even an Elands Bay forecast. We just were like, okay, it'd probably be windy, and we sailed every day for 6 days. So it's always worth it, I think, you know?
Yeah. So you mentioned Ireland. So you live in the UK now, but obviously you grew up in Ireland. And growing up windsurfing there and kind of, you know, getting into this very different at that time world of windsurfing. Is that what you envisioned? Like traveling, chasing swells, getting travel stories and whatever? Or you were like contests and...
so my father, he was like one of the first windsurfers in Ireland. He was at a boat show and he sold boats. And then he was at a boat show and he brought back, I think it was a Dufour or a Whaler board, like, which is way back. And he started then selling windsurf boards. Like, so he got in on the boom time and he then had a windsurf shop. And we sold like Marlin, Dufour, Vinta, like we had all the old school brands, you know. And then my dad then started selling F2 when F2 got really big. And like we sold so much gear. Like, you know, we were like one of the biggest F2 dealers in the UK. Just because we were kind of supplying all of like Northern Ireland and Ireland. You know, there wasn't so many dealers, but there was lots of windsurfers. Like, and then like where I grew up in Northern Ireland. And obviously when I learned to windsurf when I was 7 years old, and then we moved house And we were growing up when obviously there was a war in Northern Ireland at the time, you know, so which kind of gets overlooked, you know, but as you get older, you look back and go, God, it was pretty gnarly. But what windsurfing did was it took you away from playing football and kind of the sports that were kind of like religion based. You know, if you didn't support this football team, that meant that you were blah, blah, blah. My brother and myself and one of our best friends who was I come from a Protestant religion, and my best friend, a guy called Kieran, he was Catholic. So we were like, shouldn't have been hanging out with each other, you know, in the troubles. We didn't care.
Sounds so dumb in 2021, doesn't it?
Like, dude, it was dumb then. Like, it wasn't even dumb. Fucking, it was dumb back then, you know. Like, but fortunately, I was brought up like that. Everyone's equal, you know, like you should be. And, you know, me and Kieran, best friends, were hanging out. So we just windsurfed. So it actually took us away from all of that. So from the age, like we got into racing, like I think everyone does. Like, you know, Skyboy did, Ross, any wave sailor, I think, has got into it from like going fast and loving going fast. And yeah, I remember we would like, we grew up on a lake. In Northern Ireland, they're called locks. And so we grew up on the side of it, but it was the biggest lock. So it got waves, you know, so like we got into jumping and stuff as well. And then we got like learned to loop on the lake. And then we wanted to go to wave sailing places. So then my parents would take us up to Lanzarote, where the storm chase was. So we started going there since we were 15 years old, which was kind of when wave sailing was starting. People were starting to wave sail there. Yeah, and then just got into the local competitions in Ireland, but never thought, you know, like you'd kind of make something that, you know, related to making a living out of it. I would never have thought that, but you know. Looking back on it, we were just going with the flow, you know, so going to Lanzarote on holiday, you know, like I remember I got a good story. It was when the World Cup, the Slalom World Cup used to go to Lanzarote, and myself and my friend Kieran, we were only 15. God knows what my mum and dad, now I'm a dad, like what were my mum and dad doing? They allowed us to go on holiday to Lanzarote on our own, no parents at 15. And I remember we sort of managed to get into the bar at the place we were staying, and we had a few drinks. It was quite a few actually, and we went down to the World Cup site, and I mean it was like the who's who of windsurfing back then. There was Eric Tieme, Torkel Christensen, you know, Bjorn, Robert Tariti High, all their gear was laid out. And we were like full windsurf groupies, like, you know, we were just like, oh, wow. But yeah, I remember we wanted a contest vest. Like, I think that was the thing back then.
It still is, yeah.
It still is a thing, yeah. So I remember we like, oh, I'll have Eric Tieme's one. And I think my friend, I can't remember who he got, but the security guard caught us as we were leaving. And man, he kicked the crap out of us, the security guard, at the like 2:15-year-olds, literally kicked the crap out of us. And we thought it was quite funny at the time, you know, but like looking back now, we were like, oh, actually, that's the sort of stuff you did to like, these guys were like football superstars, I guess. It was like meeting David Beckham or.
My question is, how do two, you know, like gritty Irishmen get kicked by one little Spanish security guard? Come on, man.
He was huge, Matcha. Yeah, he was big. Like, yeah, I don't know. We're probably got a bark, but we can't bite. You know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah.
As I think anyone who knows me will know that. Like, you know, I'm not a fighter.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I was leaning into with this is like the contests side of things, because I think nobody really associates you with contests much, but you did compete and you had your moments, you know, like your bio definitely says like, I beat Kevin Pritchard and Francisco Goya in Pistol River. And and like winning Tyree, that must have been, I think for anybody that's out of the UK, I think don't really understand. But if you want to win one stop on the British tour, it is Tyree, right? That's the one.
Yeah.
You get the big sword. You get, you know, all the there's a huge party involved and whatever. So yeah, I think that's is that your like highlight contest?
I think like I started competing professionally like when I was 18. The very first, I did a World Cup in Barbados, and I actually stayed with Antoine Albeau. We were like our very first contest for both of us. We were sharing a room, and he was like this Gerard Depardieu lookalike, you know, like, but he was, I think Antoine's the same age as me, actually. I think he's 48 as well. Yeah. And like that was my first event, which like we were both like rookies. Like I don't think either of us, I think we both wave sailed with our foot out to the back strap, like, you know, the bottom turn, you know, that's sort of the era it was. But then, I did I've done quite a few World Cups. You know, I did like, there was one in Maui called the Salem World Cup, which was, I think, sponsored by a Japanese company. And I remember that was like Rush Randall era, you know, competing against those guys. So I've done a lot of competition, but a lot when I was a lot younger. But then, Tyree was probably the one that like, that was the one that kind of like, this one you want to win. And the year I won it, I was quite lucky because there was all the international guys that came. So I think it was Danny Bruce, Skyboy, like everyone was there. So I was lucky. It was the right time I actually sailed a good final, and the other guys didn't. I don't know if it was that I was better or they were worse. So it was, I guess that's what happens in all contests, you know. But I was stoked. But that was like, it's weird. I think like contests have changed a lot. You know, like I think you were in the heyday when you were super young. Like you got to see like when contests were like, it's a lot more professional now, but I think there was, you know, you had to party and compete. You know, you had to do both. Like if you didn't, you were a pussy, you know. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, like you do actually see, maybe on your podcast as well, the guys with the personalities, you know, the real bubbly personalities are probably the guys you're trying to get on the podcast more, maybe, you know, like I'm not saying I am, but, you know, like Josh Stones and, you know, you only have to look back on the old Chili videos and like they're hilarious, you know. For sure. So how different? Because obviously Tyree, what we're getting, and you're 100% right. Like it's as much. I think we're missing that part a little bit. But I don't know anyone that's going to volunteer to just like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice my contest and just, you know, none of you guys are partying, but I'm going to party and just whatever, you know. Oh, we don't even do it anymore. Like, you know,
because you're old as dirt, bro. But you know, like normally my age people should probably enjoy, but it's like if it's not the norm, then you're not gonna do it. You know what I mean? So it's like it's different. But Tyree is famous, like even outside of the UK for it's like, you know, you have to perform. I think Skyboy said on this podcast, like you have to perform on the water, but you have to perform at the bar too. So how different is it when you actually win it? Do you have to double perform in the bar, or do you?
But I remember I was more like, I remember when I won, when they eventually, everyone was like, oh no, like, what's it going to be like? No, because like all the years leading up to that, like the year before, I think we got banned. We were the only people that actually got banned from the pub that you can't get banned from. You know, it's like impossible to get banned from this pub, and we got banned, not for doing anything gnarly, like just maybe taking it a step too far. And we then went to the other pub on the island, which isn't that busy, you know, and the owner of the pub saw us drinking in the pub that, you know, the quiet one. And he went, why are you guys here tonight? And we went, oh, we got banned from your pub. And he's like, what? We can't have you banned. So he goes, the ban's taken away. Like, so we went back up to the pub that night. And of course, the bar manager was like, get out, you guys are banned. And we're like, no. And then, of course, the pub owner's with us. And he goes, no, they can come in. So, yeah, like that place was renowned for just being off.
Yeah, did the ban like maybe ensue after like you pulled your signature move?
Oh yeah, no.
Okay,
no,
okay. So let's get this out of the way. Is the signature move? Can we call this a Timo Mullen pissing in somebody's back pocket? Is that true?
Oh, no. That's definitely not. No. What would be my signature move? No, that's definitely not. I don't know who told you that one. No, we got banned. I think we got banned originally. There was a post. It was one of my best friends still is, I guess, in my mind. It was Danny Seals. So Danny passed away last year. Anyone who knows Danny knows he was one of the best wave sailors in the world. And Danny was up with me, and Danny was just like the other side of the law. You know, so he always lived on the other side of the law, or just like, you know, he definitely lived life on the edge. And Danny saw a post. There was a poster of Corky Kirkin on the wall of the toilets, and Danny went, Corky was in the toilets as well. And Danny punched a hole in the poster, but he hit the wall so hard he put a hole in the wall. So then, we obviously tried to patch it up, but didn't. And that's what we got banned from.
Yeah, that's always when you're drunk. That's always like this great idea that you're going to fix something, or you're going to like, surely they're not, they don't see me, right? Like if the
thing was, we went in the next day and we replastered the wall. So and the pub was like, because Danny, when he was working in Fuerteventura, he was a builder and he was really good at plastering. So he replastered the wall. So the pub was made up. They were like, oh, you guys, we apologize, like, take it all back. But of course, the next night, Corky thought it would be even funnier to like punch the hole in the hole that Danny fixed. So like it went on for 3 nights. And like that toilet wall's still there, and it's kind of like a shrine now to Danny, obviously, because he passed away. So like no one's allowed to touch the wall.
Yeah. So what's better? Like winning a contest you've done for 20 years and whatever, and like getting the sword and all that party stories, or scoring like sick conditions somewhere remote, one other guy out or whatever?
I think nothing will beat the buzz. Like I've never had like you're like a really good competitor. I think like I've always grown up alongside windsurfing with guys like Skyboy, Prophet, Phil Horrocks, all the World Cup guys. You can definitely see some people have got that racing competitor mentality. They hate to lose. Like I think everyone hates to lose, but I kind of hate to lose but then get over it. in about 10 seconds, I kind of go like, oh, well, you know. But I think I love winning, like anyone does. But so I'd say like winning Tyree that time and winning any contest, you know, I've won a few, and there's nothing beats that buzz. But I think scoring that epic day, especially on a road trip, like on a road trip somewhere that you've never been before or you weren't really expecting it, that's gold. I think like that feeling, I think you get it a lot when, I don't know, there's certain places you only get it. If you go, say, to the Canaries for a week and it's a windy forecast, you kind of expected that, you know? So like, even though you've had a good day, you kind of were expecting it to be good. I think it's the unexpected that makes everything feel so much better. And, you know, even I think it's a combination of having those beers at the end of the night, but like, you know, where you have 1.5 beers and it gives you that lovely buzz. And just that is like, that's what I love, you know, that's, yeah. And also when I travel, I normally traveling with John Carter. He's like probably one of my best friends. And like, he's got the same sort of buzz. He loves this. We love the same thing, you know, the adventure, having a couple of beers at the end of it. And so
for me, for me, it's like, it's almost equal because it's like it feels like a win, right? When you score, and if you have a camera, that's even better, you know, it's almost similar buzz. I think
it's funny you mentioned Pistol River, and I think that was one of the first IWT events, and myself and John Carter went there, and we were just like going, do you know what? Neither of us had been there before. And we were like, okay, let's go to this one. And again, that was like maybe only a 7-day trip. But like that place, I would still say is one of my favorite places I've ever been. And because we were totally not expecting it to be what it was like, you know, the water was freezing cold, like colder than Ireland would ever be. And it was just epic, like windy every day, beautiful place, you know, just a totally different vibe. And I think like, I remember that trip, and even a trip I did with Skyboy once, we went to Oman. And again, that was one of those trips. We weren't expecting anything from the trip. And when we got there and we just scored it like epic conditions every day. We just weren't expecting it, you know, we were expecting it to be maybe at best average, and it turned out to be like just insane, you know.
Yeah.
So
and when I asked around, somebody, I don't remember who it was, but somebody like
I'll remember.
Summed you up. No, but summed your kind of your whole psyche, like that you basically position everything, like all the pieces of the puzzle of your life's puzzle around windsurfing to be able to have that flexibility to go, you know, to go on that 5-day trip to Australia or that 7-day trip to Pistol River, or even drive those, you know, 20 hours up to Scotland and whatever. So what are those pieces, and how did you actually manage to do that? Because for people that don't know, and maybe you keep track, but you might sail more than like outside of the Maui, that the guys that live in Maui, you might sail the most out of any wave sailor in the world.
So I've always like you know what I learned I went to university. I did maritime law at university. I actually got like a really good degree from uni. And I remember I was like, okay, I knew I had to have something behind me, you know, because I kind of worked out, okay, if you're not amazing, like top 5 windsurfer, actually back then, I think you could actually be top 40 windsurfer and you still made lots of money. I think Rick Markham, he was the guy, you know, Rick came like last pretty much in every event, and he was probably the most sponsored, richest windsurfer in the tour. But I remember going like, okay, you need to have like something behind you that can like, you can still work and support your windsurfing, not rely on sponsorship. So I always tried to like go, okay, my job's going to have to support like time to go windsurfing and also earn enough money to be able to fly to all these nice spots, you know, so you didn't rely on sponsorship. So yeah, I guess like it was just finding a job. And like I got into selling stuff. Like I thought, okay, you sell stuff, it's really old fashioned, you know, but you buy and sell, you know, so like that's one easy way equation that you can earn money. So I got into like, you know, selling, you know, surf clothes. I worked for one of the biggest companies for 23 years. But I was always self-employed. So I think you'll find, you know, when you go to any beach around the world and you see the same guys windsurfing, you can pretty much guarantee that like they're all self-employed and nobody's getting their plumbing done. Nobody's getting their house made. There's no electricians. You know, there's all these guys. So I became a self-employed sales guy. And I just can work. It's weird because people have this assumption you're always windsurfing. But the only reason they think that is because when it's windy, they see you at the beach. But obviously when it's not windy, you're working your ass off, you know? So that's how you get that balance, you know, is you have to be like, you have to know when it's not windy, all you do is work, you know? So when it's on, you're ready to go. So that's how I balance it, I guess. And I got pretty cool family that, you know, they're kind of used to it, and I try not to take the piss too much. So as you say, I'm saying that with bated breath.
Because, you know, happy wife, happy life, as we all know. I mean, I don't know, but I heard. And that's gotta be sometimes tricky too. Like, no, babe, we have I don't know, so-and-so is getting married or is getting whatever. And you can't book anything in advance. My girlfriend hates me for that because I don't make commitments longer than
Hey Magic, my best friend, she's getting married in July. It's going to be really good. And you go, that should be okay. There's never definitely, let's go. I don't think there's any windsurfer commits to stuff, you know. I'm terrible.
So give us your top tip on navigating that.
never say yes. Yeah. But I tell you what, as you get older, you start to go geez, no one invites me anywhere anymore.
Yes.
Because people know you're not going to turn up. So they save the invite for someone else. So now I've learned that you have to now say yes to a few, because you end up, you don't get
no friends. You end up with the guy, your friends end up being the guys that you were, I don't know, trimming their gear at the beach, and that's the only friends you got left.
It's weird. I love windsurfing, but I don't really like talking about windsurfing. You know, it's it's more of a passion, and I'm probably the least techie guy out there. You know, Ben Severn, he hates me for it. You know, because Ben Severn's probably the most techie geek guy. You know, all windsurf brand company owners. You know, they're so intense on their gear. And I'm so frothing to go sailing. I'll just rig the sail up super quick, and I've rigged it all wrong, but it kind of works. So I'm I've got on the water and got 2 more waves because I wasn't on the beach trimming it. So
But there is something there, because I remember, you said, you had your mom in Lanzarote. My one was in Silt. You walk into the competitor's tent. I'm 13. And you don't hear anybody talking about windsurfing. You know what I mean? It's like windsurfer, we do it so much that, you know, you'd rather talk about, I don't know, the Kardashians or whatever. That's your favorite, no?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just like, I think people who don't windsurf so much love to talk about windsurfing. Whereas like if you're just immersed in it all the time, like, but that's not to say I I watch all the podcasts that you guys do. You know, I'll try and keep up to speed with what everyone's doing. You know, like I follow all the guys on Instagram. I love reading about it. But then, you know, like I want to, when I get home, I don't want to talk about windsurfing. I don't want, like if my wife says, how was your session? I go, yeah, it was okay. You know, actually, you know, you should, there's a lesson. Never say it was okay. Always say it was amazing. It was brilliant. Because when you go, oh, it wasn't that good today, they go, so why were you gone for 5 hours if it wasn't so good? So always say you had the best session ever, because then they don't mind that you were away for 3 hours. So yeah, that's a good topic.
Yeah, we mentioned like work and balancing this out. For people who are listening on Spotify, Timo, or on Apple Podcast, Timo, behind him, he has a nice rack with some Foamlife flip-flops, and that's your new endeavor. So my only question is, why the fuck are you not sponsoring anyone?
Well, we've actually got so we start, myself and a guy I've worked with pretty much for 20 years. He's an amazing artist and designer, and he surfs and stuff as well. But we've always worked together, and we've always had this dream of starting up our own company. And like with lockdown last year and COVID, where it kind of gave us this kickstart to do our own thing, and we're pretty well experienced in that industry. So like I brought quite a few brands into the UK. Like I brought Deus, you know, like a super hipster, cool brand from Australia. I brought that into the UK. I've done other things. I've had my own company before. And we were like, okay, like if we were going to do one thing, what would it be? And we were like, flip-flops. Everyone loves flip-flops. When you say flip-flops, everyone smiles. And we got good connections with factories and stuff. So we thought, yeah, let's start our own flip-flop brand, something that's a bit more vibrant and like not, I think a lot of the industries got quite boring. So like there's the same old stuff, really nice stuff, but it's the same old stuff. So we were like, okay, let's do something new. No one's really doing anything that's got like, you know, like a focus on sustainability. Like I'm not saying we're definitely not perfect, you know, like we can do loads better, but we're trying to like do like as much as we can at the moment. And then, you know, hopefully get better and better and better so that we're as sustainable as we can be. So we just thought, yeah, let's do something. There's a gap in the market. So yeah, me and my friend, we started our flip-flop brand, Foamlife. So yeah, it's going really well. Like, but for sponsorship, like obviously I love windsurfing. So like, but we gotta be like, okay, it can't be like a windsurfing flip-flop brand, but like all my friends, like we got this program called Soulmates. So soul, that's in the soul of a flip-flop. Soulmates, your soulmate is someone that, you know, is with you forever. And like, we really admire like the way Red Bull do their sporting program. Like if you see any Red Bull athletes, they're with a company forever. But even the guys that started with Red Bull from when Red Bull was just like sponsoring really low tier events, they're still with Red Bull now, like Polakai, Nash, Dunkerbeck, whatever. So we were like, okay, let's start our Soulmates program. And we've actually, like, a lot of the top guys have helped us out, you know. So, like, not to say they're sponsored by us, but like, like they have Philip Costa's wearing them, Brasinho, Levi, Boujma, like Matteo. We're gonna get you a pair, obviously, Magic, because you're like you're killing it. But like a lot of the guys and the girls, like Justina, she's really helped us out. I think the windsurfing community is such a tight knit community, and they're like generally there's no dickheads in windsurfing. Like everyone's pretty cool, and like even down to Maui, like the guys there, like Adam Lewis lives there now. Adam's really helped us out. His wife, she's like a super talented designer in Hawaii, and obviously, Adam's best friend is Amanda Beenan, who obviously you know really well, like ripper windsurfer. Amanda's like this amazing fashion photographer now. Like she's worked with, I think she did the video for Steve Aoki, like the
musician,
DJ.
The DJ,
yeah. And like she's worked for Patagonia, like all these big brands, and Amanda did our photo shoot for us in Maui. So like the windsurfing community's really like come in and helped where they can. You know, even Sven, you know, who was like kind of my first big major league sponsor, Sven Rasmussen from Starboard. Sven actually has this, works with this climate park, and he's helping us out to get our carbon footprint down. And you know, so all these guys have really helped us out when we're a small company, you know, and what we hope to do is be able to reward those guys and grow with them. And, you know, when we get bigger, we can pay them more money and, you know, give the windsurfers more help. So, it's like in the community you have like you said, you know, you need to plaster your house. You know this guy. You need to know about carbon footprint. You call Sven. You know, you like once you have this. Once you're in there, there's a bunch of people with different expertise. I guess if I need to sell sand in the Sahara, I should call you then. Yeah. But it's like, I think even like that's the great thing about windsurfing and its contact. You know, because. Like there, I got like this really bad toothache at the minute. Like I'm on like these hell painkillers from a toothache. So that was one of the reasons why I couldn't really I was like dying of my skull from windsurfing. But it's like you immediately go, okay, there's bound to be a windsurfer dentist who like can cut me a better deal than like, you know, it's $1,000 to get my like tooth fixed, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's like the awesome thing about windsurfing is like you've got this like network, you know.
My one is a kiter and he fucking charges the hell out of me, so I need to find a windsurfer.
There's actually there's a dentist in Northern Ireland who's like he works in Belfast, and like I think he's the richest man on the beach, you know. So like I think I should have maybe been a dentist actually.
Yeah, you've been to Matanzas in Chile.
Yeah.
So there's this dentist kind of studio like glassed with sea view there.
No way.
Yeah. You can like ride on the beach in Matanzas. It's it's unreal. So the guy is a windsurfer, and I guess he's fixing the teeth and just checking like if it's good or not. You know. So
I'll use that as an excuse to go there then. Not like you need an excuse to go there.
No, definitely not. So back to traveling. So another pretty good story I heard is that it's probably, again, a little bit exaggerated, but it sounds good, that there was some Ryanair or some airline like promotion type thing, and that you wanted to go to a certain place and you booked every weekend of the next 6 months for like €3 each or whatever, just in case there's a forecast.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, like Ryanair were flying from Bournemouth to Dublin. So Bournemouth is like the nearest town to me. It's only like 4 miles from my house, and obviously that flies into Dublin. and they did this promotion. It was like, I think it was like €1.99. And like that route isn't really super popular in the UK. So they didn't really sell out that quickly. But I booked, for the whole of the autumn and winter season, I booked every single weekend. So out on a Friday, back on a Monday. And I think the whole lot for the whole winter season cost me like £200, like say $300 or €300, whatever. And then you just didn't take the flight. If it wasn't good, you just didn't take the flight.
Yeah.
So, but I've done lots of things. Like there's a really like EasyJet of quite a good thing with that is that if you join their EasyJet Plus, it allows you to like change your ticket a lot more easy, and they then invite you to be part of a flight club, and you can book tickets and just keep changing the dates. So I do that quite a bit. So, not so much now, obviously. I haven't traveled for a year and a half. So
well, you have within the UK, right?
Yeah.
Do you like count your days, like your days on the water and stuff? You like count your sessions? You have a rough idea? Because I think it would be nice to know for a guy with a full-time job that we all unfortunately gonna have to get one day. What is possible? What is actually possible to achieve?
I'd say I count more like the days I don't windsurf than the days I do, because they're the days I get antsy and like in a bad mood, and I kind of know when I haven't been windsurfing because like I'm not in the best of moods when I haven't been windsurfing. But I'd say like I probably windsurf like I don't know, like three times a week, 4 times a week, maybe. I'd say on average. The summers here are obviously not so good, but like then we'd go to Canaries for 2 weeks, or Mauritius.
Yeah. And you got yourself some foil gear as well, I heard, no?
Yeah. The foiling's changed the game. I'm actually just going to show you something really quick. This is in our office, but we've just got, because I just noticed how beautiful it is. I don't know, you can see the sunset.
Yeah.
There tonight. Sunset's pretty
in the harbor.
Nice. Yeah, where like our offices are, actually that's an amazing sunset. Our offices are right beside the water here. So you can actually windsurf straight out the front here of our offices. It's just like slalom, bump and jump, but hey, like we all still love that, So, but foiling changed it. You can obviously windsurf way more with foiling. So I'd say 3 to 4 times a week. I'd say.
And what would you say is like your hour on the water to kilometer ratio? This is also another thing.
Oh yeah, not good. I try to say if I go to Cornwall, it's weird. Up till last year, I worked in Cornwall. So we've got a house there, and I would like be there from a Monday to a Friday. So I didn't have to drive so much to windsurf. It was normally good there. But now, like I would drive to Cornwall, which is 3 hours drive, windsurf for 3 hours, and then drive back. So it's like double the hours in the car to the time I've got windsurfing. Yeah. Which, but unfortunately, like that happened a lot, But to get really good conditions, you have to drive that little bit further, but it's worth it, so.
Yeah, I'm still jealous anyway. You can get conditions like within, couple hours drive and whatever. Yeah. Like I need to forget.
It's weird though, because like I know your personality, and I think you're the sort of guy that would do the same. Like I think there's certain guys I know would do the same if they had the opportunity, and I think that makes you not waste the opportunity, because like hearing you say you're jealous, it's like I hate hearing that because I go like, oh, I wish someone like you could come along because you're the kind of person you want on those sort of trips, like who are up for it. They're like, oh, it's good over there. Let's go there instead of this crap.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and like then having somebody local like yourself or whatever, that really helps too, because so many times you go to a place and like Cape Town, I needed like, I don't know, 3-4 trips to actually realize what was going on and meet a couple people and whatever, like you also have this personality that you just meet people like this and then you end up like knowing everything. But I don't know, somehow it takes me a while to
I still forget though. Like when I go back to these places, it takes me like, even in Cape Town, it takes you a week to like click back into it and go, that spot in the southwesterly. Which obviously anyone goes to Cape Town knows like southwesterly doesn't nowhere works, but we know where to go in the southwesterly.
Even if it's flat on the forecast. So what's like your top 5, let's say, waves you sailed?
Okay, I'd go. I'd say most of them are in Ireland.
Is it that good? Is it that freaking good that you take a good session in Ireland over One Eye, over Ponta Preta, over Gnaraloo? That good.
That definitely, like it's world class. Like it is world class. I think it's actually as well the amount of waves you get. So in one session, if it's really good, you'll windsurf from like say 10 in the morning. If the tides are good, you'll windsurf for like 4 or 5 hours. And you imagine at like some of the breaks, there's not really anyone there. Like if you're lucky, my brother will be with me, or just my dad. My dad will just be there to he comes along for the ride just because he loves the crack in the car. And so you imagine how many waves you get. Like it's because it's cross off, it's perfect reefs, and you're just going like in a machine.
In circles,
so you can get, I think that's like probably the only place that matches that is Cape Town because it's windy all the time. And even though it's busy, you get loads of waves just because it's windy all the time, and there's always conditions. But Ireland, you can learn a lot of things because you get so many waves, So I'd say so. Top 5 would be, I think you'd have to put Lanzarote number 1 just because it's so fun. It's a sick wave. It's easy to, you can get away with a lot of stuff there with like trashing loads of gear. Then there's a couple of spots in the West Coast that work pretty rare, but when they work, they're insane. And in Scotland, I would put Scotland on there as well. And then Cornwall. Obviously, Cornwall's pretty consistent. But like the waves in Ireland are like they're
so you're like, so in your top 5, even though you traveled all over the world, you have like basically UK and Ireland.
Yeah, I'd say so. Just because of there's no the crowd issue. Probably I've just caused a massive crowd issue, but I don't think there ever will be. Actually, when we were younger, we used to be like so militant about no, we're not telling anyone where the spot is. And I think now it's like you're really glad to have company. I think that's, as you get older, you start to realize actually it'd be really nice to have somebody here with me today, So, but I'd say so. Like I still obviously love traveling, I love going to Gnaraloo, I love going to Mauritius. I maybe don't go to the way out spots so much more. I used to go to Chile a lot, and like I say, there's a lot of spots I still haven't been to that I want to go to, but you kind of coming into the autumn and winter season, and you kind of like going, if I go there, then I could miss a good day at home. And they sound so stupid, but if I was in Maui and I saw there was a good day at home, it would break me. It would, like, even though I'd be sailing perfect keeper every day, I'd be like devastated that I missed out on it.
So it's not like you might be a little bit biased though.
yeah, maybe.
Because I'm like, fuck, I will come like once the thing is all like probably autumn. I'm definitely coming because now I have a van finally and I can come. But like, you know, putting it over, like having sailed Mauritius and Chile and Hokipa and all those Gnaraloo, you know, it's really hard to imagine that like North Europe can get better, you know, having sailed also quite a few places in Europe. Like Galicia was insane. Like I just came back, but it was like insane for 6 hours or 5 hours. You know what I mean? Like one tide, like, and
I think I'm maybe lucky in that because my parents and all my family still live in Northern Ireland. Obviously, all I have to do is I've got a whole set of gear at my parents' house. So I got like my favorite Severn Mako 91 and like an 84 wakeboard, a whole set of sails, all my gear is there. I got my surfboards there. So I can just jump on a flight. So it's a little bit, when people hear, but it's like I'm going home to see my parents and my brothers. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier. So I don't tend to miss the really good days. So yeah, it's a little bit jaded because like I don't have to rent a car. I don't have to, like, I get on the plane with just a backpack, which makes it all easier. So
and there's something to be said, and there's something to be said about like sailing at home. There's a different vibe to it, right? Like I don't know, somehow you're so much more relaxed and you're
and you know what, that's really weird you say that. I try to now, like, I remember when I go to spots that like I still get scared a lot going to new spots and like gnarly waves. I still like I get really nervous, and like I try to go imagine this new spot, like say even, I don't know, say you're in Fuerte and you're sailing like that slab at Cotillo Harbour, and like you go, okay, well if this was at home and I knew the spot, I wouldn't be nervous or scared. So you try to put yourself into that like spot, you know, in your head. But it never works, you know. You're always still shitting yourself. And, you know, but then you'll see somebody like who's maybe better than you at windsurfing. They'll turn up to your local spot and they're like, oh, it looks pretty gnarly. And you're like, oh, man, it's fine. So I think it's just that comfort of your home spot, you know?
And like when you're scared, like, I don't know for you, but it doesn't normally serve you. Like it's where you're hesitant a little bit and whatever, you not only sail worse, but you can actually hurt yourself, you know? And it's I don't know, I
did a trip last year, like just before lockdown. I went to the Île aux Vaches, the spot in Brittany where you know, like it's that big wave spot, and it was a big forecast. Like it was pretty big. Like, and there was Thomas and like all the local guys, and they ripped, you know. And I was so nervous, and like we hadn't slept. We drove for 15 hours straight, so I was fucked by the time I got there. But I remember I sailed terrible, like just awful. I was full of nerves. You know, I didn't want to get trashed on the rocks and stuff like that. And you're right what you say. It just makes you sail bad. And I probably was really close to hurting myself as well, just because I wasn't relaxed. So yeah, there's a lot to be said for it. Yeah,
for sure.
Knowing your home spot.
Yeah. So what's your bucket list? Do you even have 5 on your bucket list still? Because it sounds like the ones that you really enjoy are not the like gnarly, super slabby. Like there's guys chasing conditions, and I feel like you chase fun. You want to perform still. You want to do your moves. Like you do some, forwards of the lip, goiters, whatever. That's your type of stuff. And
so I love that. It's weird. It's one of my like guys I look up to the most for windsurfing is my brother. So he's weird. He's like, there's guys in Ireland that are a bit like this, and you'll see them all over the world, and they don't have fear. Like
I love to sail with those guys.
Fun, man. I hate it. Like imagine I turn up, like I go home. I love windsurfing in big waves. I love it. Like, but I fucking hate the build up to it. I'm shitting myself. I like think of all the worst things that are going to happen. All those things go through my head. But I noticed like my brother, like a lot of the big wave surfers in Ireland, they don't have this. Like, there's these guys have this different mentality. And my brother's one of them. And like, he'll want to go to the gnarliest spot. Like he wants to go to like the slabs. But I'm kind of, I love that. But I'm kind of like, okay, well, you're not going to have too much fun there. It gives you the adrenaline hit, but you can't, I still want to perform and do the moves. And I think someone like Thomas will still hit the lip in those conditions, but he must be like one of 3 guys in the world who'll do that.
Yeah. I think it just comes from a place of sort of from a place of weakness, because I feel like I'm not going to sail up to those conditions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The conditions are way better.
And you're just dodging the lip because it's so heavy, and it just sucks. That feeling fucking sucks.
Yeah. So like, I think, when you watch someone like Tomas, he just like, he rewrites the book, and then you watch Brazino, obviously, and Maui.
And Jaws, that's insane.
Yeah, and you're just like going like, but now I, know obviously I know my brother really well, and guys like him, they have that mentality that there's not, you would actually think it's ego, but it isn't. They're just like hungry for it, They're just, and you see it in their eyes. It's like, it's quite scary when you see their eyes and they're talking about it. They're just like fucking possessed, Yeah. So, I love it. Don't get me wrong. Once I'm out there, I'm like charged, and I'm like, oh, this is sick being out here. But I don't go looking for it. Put it like that. I have to be put in this situation.
Yeah. So what's your like bucket, like top 5 of the places you still want to go?
Okay. Yeah. Still places I gotta go. I'd say Peru for sure. Love to go to Peru. That's definitely
soft though, no? I mean, Pacasmayo.
I know, like you look at it and go, I saw some footage of like some really good guys from West Oz there, and like they're all hitting it. I think when it was a bit bigger, like, but it looks so much fun, you just look at it. I don't know if, getting the shits there. I think that's quite a common thing. You're definitely going to get the shits, but you could lose a lot of weight, which like at my age you need to. So I'm definitely going to like tick off.
Egypt, mate. Then Egypt should be on your.
I've done that. I've done Egypt. Yeah, I did that. I was on first holidays with my wife. I did went to Egypt, and Peru. Like Namibia would be sick to do that trip next time and go to Cape Town. That'd be awesome to go there. That looks so much fun. Yeah, actually, the videos those guys did, it looks way more fun than you imagined it to be. It doesn't look as gnarly as
freaking windy though, huh? Looks like.
Yeah. Geez, where else? I think they're like all the rest of the spots are like, do you know what? Diamond Head. I'd love to sail. Diamond Head's like this. Probably, I reckon if you rocked up to Diamond Head now in July, August, you'd be like one of the only guys windsurfing. Probably.
Insane, huh? Insane.
Yeah, that would be a good one to do, to get the South Swells and sail somewhere like Diamond Head. So I'd say that would be a good one for the bucket
that's
list.
super fun too, it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Like nothing scary, gnarly. But then I would say, I don't know, there's like Iceland. I'd love to go there. But I'd love to go there with like the ultimate guy who knows where to go, you know.
But you know what happened with Iceland? I looked at a forecast. I had a ticket, like I was ready to go, and then I start like looking for locals and spots and whatever. And the local told me that you can't windsurf anywhere but this one sandy beach and whatever, like a freaking side onshore beach break, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, but I've seen surf. Yeah, but you don't windsurf there. Yeah. And on like that forecast or the next forecast, Thomas went and fucking scored.
Yeah. So like, there. And then, there's quite a few. There's like a really sick break in the west coast of Ireland that I still haven't windsurfed. It's like impossible to get there, which is probably one of the reasons why. I'd love to go windsurf that. I got lots of opportunities too, but there's another spot that's just as good. That's way easier to get to. Yeah. But this other spot I've heard is amazing. And I probably ticked most of them.
Yeah, give me because when I asked you for your top 5, like outright, you gave me UK and Ireland, Scotland.
Yeah, so worldwide,
worldwide. Yeah, give me like outside of the islands.
Yeah, so I'd say still Cape Town's just sick. Cape Town, I love it. I love it. Everything that you could hate about Cape Town, it's still, there's more to love than Cape. Yeah.
But it's just the whole package, isn't it? It's just the city, the conditions. The conditions are like, it's not, I don't think you ever score like great, but you always sail a lot and different conditions.
Like I reckon I've learned every single like kind of high class wave move in Cape Town. Like, you know, you just do the same move every single day for 5 weeks. And, you know, if you do something 1,000 times, you're going to land one. And we all know with windsurfing, you land it once, you land it 100 times. Like it's the muscle memory. So I think still Cape Town would be like right up there. And then obviously Gnaraloo, fucking love that place. Like I was going there every year for like 7-8 years. And obviously the Aussies are super cool to travel with. And then Maui, I'm sorry to be boring, but like Maui's still Maui. Like again, what you say, the whole experience, like the guys there are all so nice as well. Like, you know.
But Hokipa is I don't think there is a spot the quality of Hokipa in Cape Town. You know, Hokipa is still like really good. It's so consistent. And
I don't ever watch any of the guys' videos from Hokipa and go, oh, I wish I wasn't there. Like, you always go, because if you sail there, you know where the good sections are and you go, oh yeah, that's, you know, he had the perfect wave there. And I think, like where I mentioned it before, a Skyboy, if you said the same thing, the Skyboy, he'd agree. Like Oman was amazing. I'd love to go back there. Like, I'd literally love to go back there. It's just like August is when I'm like supposed to be working and earning money, and that's kind of when it's good there. It's insane. It's like, if you're a starboard tack windsurfer, like go there. Like in August, you'll score insane conditions. And
there's gotta be more. Huh? There's gotta be the world's so big and so much water, and like if you look at the map, Oman wouldn't strike you as one that it doesn't get like huge consistent swells or whatever.
It doesn't even make sense there that there's waves there. It doesn't make sense, but there is. And Mauritius, I love that place. So we one thing I'd say about Mauritius is, as not a dad and with a family, there's a hotel right on the beach there that's not super expensive, and you can go for 2 weeks. It costs us I guess it is a lot of money, but relatively when you're got a family, it's not so bad. That's £5,000 for 2 weeks, all inclusive, including our flights. And the swimming pool is right beside where you launch to go windsurfing. Yeah. And for when you've got kids and a wife and you want to score some of the best waves in the world, but keep your family happy, that's the place. And again, super nice people, and you know, no angry locals. Well, maybe the surfers are a little bit, but the windsurfing guys are just super nice, and that's the vibe we want.
What was your scariest trip? I mean, you've sailed, like you said, some big waves and whatever. Scariest windsurfing experience.
Trying to think if it would be where you got hurt. I don't know. Maybe I guess there's a few gnarly trips when you were younger, getting into situations that, you should have maybe avoided. I don't know, it's still probably Jaws was still the scariest one, because we jumped off the rocks, where at the bottom of the cliffs. I guess that was pretty scary, just because we didn't know what we were doing, but I'd say, I don't know, Oman was pretty scary, actually. At one point we were on there because it was around the time of, there was a lot of tension, around the Muslim community or whatever, and we were clearly white,
blonde,
and we were on the ferry to Oman, and it's quite a funny story. We met this guy, and he was a full-on local in his robes, and he had this ceremonial, daggers and stuff on his belt. And I remember he was telling us a story about, he was chatting to myself, Skyboy, and Naira, Skyboy's wife, who at the time wasn't his wife. That was his girlfriend. And of course, obviously in a Muslim country, particularly Oman, it's not cool to have a girlfriend. You have to be married. So we were having to go, and this is Skyboy's wife, making a big deal. But Skyboy, and anyone who knows Skyboy knows he's kind of a liability. He if there's something that could go wrong, he'll find it. He'll find the thing that. So the guy, Skyboy, goes
subconsciously.
He doesn't do it on purpose. And it's weird because my daughter is called Sky, and she has the same personality as Skyboy. She's just really annoying, she'll find the thing that's just the wrong thing to do. And so anyway, Skyboy points at the guy's belt and goes, I see your dagger, your ceremonial dagger, the crescent shaped ones. Yeah. And the guy goes, do you want to see it? And this guy was quite intense, he was obviously quite proud of his religion, and he was, he was super intelligent and telling us all about, you know, like how Spain was once a Muslim country. And, you know, I didn't know that, you know, and he was a really nice guy. But anyway, he handed Skyboy the ceremonial dagger, and Skyboy, being an idiot, just immediately takes the dagger out of the sheath. And we didn't know, like, but the guy went fucking like we'd killed his mother, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but apparently taking the dagger out of the sheath to that sort of tribesman is basically challenge him to fight to the death.
Yeah.
And like the whole of the boat looked round, you know, full of all the other locals, and was like, oh God. But like, you know, when you know you've made a massive mistake, and it literally Skyboy, you know, I've never seen Skyboy like so repentant for his sins. You know, it's yeah, that was a pretty scary moment, because we were on a ferry in the middle of this between Oman and Masaraya Island, and we could have ended up in the water there quite easily. So that was quite a scary situation.
They have that switch, somehow in the Middle East, every time, like it's all super cool, but then there's like a trigger, and
this went downhill fast, like super fast. Yeah.
That's pretty scary. That's scarier than Jaws, that's for sure.
It's not often that you would say Naira was the peace negotiator. But Naira was the peace negotiator on that one for sure.
Yeah. But you made it. You're here, and they're married now officially. Not only. Listen, man.
Cool.
We talked a lot about like the passion for the sport and for traveling, and you know, like setting things up to being able to do it. Like, what's your like top? If you think to do it. I know you don't do it consciously, but if you think to do it more consciously, like how do you cultivate the inner kid to keep sailing, to keep chasing conditions, and like because everybody has moments when you're like, fuck, I'm over this.
Dude, on Sunday, where I actually told you I was, you know, I couldn't do Sunday because it was a good forecast. It rained all day, and I just didn't feel it. I didn't windsurf. Like it was windy. It was maybe only like 1 foot. It was pretty rubbish, but it was windy. It was like 4-7 weather, and I didn't windsurf. Actually, I'm actually glad I didn't, because I actually was feeling a little bit ill. And I actually, for once, listened to my body. But I think my advice would be like, it's like there's so much stuff going on in the world right now, you know, like, and I think for young people, they get to see what is happening in the world a lot more than what we did. And there's a lot of crap things happening in the world. And windsurfing is one of those things that isn't crap. It's, you know, I would say like just the fact that windsurfing, everything about it is good and healthy, is like a reason to love it and want to do it all the time. And I'd say like to have that froth, like especially when you're younger, like take it, all those chances, you know. So to any young people is like, if you get these opportunities, take them, you know. Like I think especially nowadays in the world, there's more opportunity to do a lot of stuff and create your own freedom. So like embrace that, and, you know, take those opportunities now, you know, don't be worrying about getting caught up in the rat race. Take the opportunities, and, you know, there's plenty of time, and, you know, your moment to shine will always come. You know, like everyone has their moment. So, you know, don't try and rush it. It'll eventually come. You see that with a lot of the, you know, like you're a prime example of it, you know, like you've stuck at it. You've enjoyed yourself the whole time. And then, you've like committed to your sport a lot more training wise, but you can see you're still enjoying it, and you're now like fucking getting top 3 results, winning fucking heats, winning finals, you know. So I think like everyone will have their moment, but just take all those chances as you go along. You know, I think any pros, like the older generation pros, would say the same, you know, I'd say.
I don't think anybody, like, as much as we moan about our salaries and our contracts and whatever, I don't think anybody would tell you he regrets going into this life.
You know what? The best line I ever heard, and because Brazinho's young, so like, and he's got to be one of the most passionate windsurfers alive. Like, the guy's out in utter junk at Hookkeeper, and even if you went to Hookkeeper for a 3-week holiday, you probably wouldn't go out on one of the days that he's still out, you know. And I remember he said something like, you know what? Windsurfing companies have got windsurfers like by the bollocks, basically. He said, because we'd all do it for free, you know? Yeah. Ultimately, we do exactly what we're doing now for free. So he said, we're in this really hard negotiating spot, you know, like, so Brazinho, you want to windsurf every day in perfect conditions for the rest of your life. Okay, right. I'm going to help you lowball, you know? So like, it's a real balance, you know, like, so I tell young people like, just take all the opportunities, and like, as well, travel more, you know. I think like the young people now tend to go to the spots that are kind of like popular for contests, and they're missing out on like the trips we all used to do when we were younger. We would like, there'd be the bucket list, like you mentioned, and the bucket list was always like, you know, like Fiji would be up there. Actually, I should add that to my list. Like, I
have it on my list. First,
you know, all these 6 spots were on our bucket list, but probably not a bucket list for, you know, a 16-year-old coming from, you know, inland destination, or like, you know, not such a good spot. They'll be like, I want to go to Gran Canaria. You know, which I love Gran Canaria, don't get me wrong, but like their bucket list would be different, you know. And I would say to young people now, maybe make your bucket list like those cross off wave sailing locations, and, you know, get that in the bag, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty poetic. We should probably end there, but as you know, we have our little quick questions that are pretty slow, actually. But
I tried to prepare for these, but like they're still fucking difficult.
Yeah. So what are your pet peeves then?
Faffing. Faffers.
What's faffing? Just talking. Just talking.
No, you know this because you did like you faff, like, so like. I would turn up, say, I'll give an example of you know, when we were in Cape Town, I'd be like, okay, Machi, I'm going to pick you up at 8:00 in the morning. Be ready. Like, please be ready, because I know it's going to be good at 1:00. The tide's perfect. Please be ready. It takes us 3 hours to drive to Lance Bay. Don't be so I'll turn up. And you'd be like, okay, I'll just go start to get ready. And I'm like, what, you're not ready? You're like, oh, I thought you meant start to get ready. So like faffing is what we call it. Like my brother's a really good faffer. Like, so when I'll be like, I'll get off my plane to Ireland, and obviously like I got limited time, you know, my flight arrives at 8. My parents' house is like still 2 hours from Lanzarote. So like I'll get there and my brother will be like, I just got to do some stretching. So he'll do some yoga for half an hour. Then he has like his second breakfast. And I'm like losing my mind. Like, so, so faffing is definitely, like, anyone that knows me knows like my energy levels when it's windy, or like, you just got to go to the beach and go out in the water.
Yeah, you don't want to eat. You don't want to like...
I tune my sail, change my fins, don't care. I just want to go in the water. Yeah. So faffing is like, that's my peeve.
Yeah.
For sure. Nothing else, just faffing.
No, but I saw some interview with you that you said is social media is one too, a little bit, that you kind of...
you know what? I didn't go on social media until Starboard. They said you'll lose your contract, like, if you don't go on social media. And mine was more like at university, and when I was single, I had quite a lot of skeletons in my closet. I don't think any of the skeletons you'd want to see or meet again, maybe, like, no offense. But like, I was like, oh my God, because, you know, I remember even my wife once said to me, like, why didn't you go on Facebook? You know, like, it's really good for meeting people. I said, you don't want to, like, as soon as I go on, I was scared of all these like names popping up, you know, like I spent 6 years trying to get rid of, like, and then in 6 minutes they all appear, you know?
Yeah.
But then, like, so I was never a big fan of social media, but I actually, like, I'm like everyone now. I'm like, screen time, it pops up, and like, you've been on Instagram like for 3 hours of the day, you know? So I wish I could hate it more now, because I've grown to like it. And I think it's a bad thing, to be honest. So, but
yeah, it's a bit of a love-hate relationship, but I kind of, you have to learn to I don't know. You either have to learn to accept it or just delete it and like you say, and be really hated from outside, like, don't exist in...
I don't mind Instagram because you don't have to interact so much. You know, you pick who you actually just... It's not so intrusive, I think. It's more, you know, people will put up stuff that's interesting, I think. There's not like a picture of their dinner or stuff like that there. It's like, it avoids all that. Yeah. Whereas Facebook, I find, I don't think I've posted anything on Facebook since I stopped, like, probably since Starboard days, you know. Severn are pretty cool. Like, Ben Severn, is, anyone knows him, he's like, he hates social media. So you don't get as much pressure. But I like Instagram. It's fun, you know. I actually think it's quite fun the way you can put stuff on there.
But it's funny how people just fully assess, like, you've been killing it. I'm like, we haven't spoke for 3 years. But I've seen on Instagram you've been killing it, or the opposite, you know, like, if you're not putting much, whatever, like, you might have been killing it, but, you know.
There was a comedian that did this really good sketch about social media. He was like, and I think it's this is the sad part of it, you know, because we all know, like, I know with our flip-flop company, we have this soulmates thing, but I think all windsurfers are like soulmates with each, you know, like, I haven't spoke to you in freaking like 9 years. And it's like, we just carried on from where we left off, which is really cool. But I think social media, this comedian was going, you know, like, you'd bump into a guy you haven't seen him for maybe 5 years, and you'd be like, hey, so how's it going? And he'd be like, well, I bought a new house. And you'd be like, yep, saw that on Facebook. I've got a new wife. Yep, saw her on Facebook. There's like, so all his stuff he wants to tell you, you already know.
Yeah.
So
tell me something I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And normally the stuff, like, you don't know is the stuff he doesn't want you to know, because he would have put it on Facebook otherwise. But
I think that's good with the windsurfers, because it's like, we don't talk about windsurfing after work, let's say. And also like you know, if I speak to you, I ask you, you know, like what's going on, whatever, how you know what I mean? And you don't like, I don't ask you, what's your free setup, you know?
Yeah, I think I said it earlier. I get my windsurfing fix on like that chat. I get it from social media, you know, so you don't have those awkward, hey, how was that session last week? You know, it's like, you already know.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. How many times a day do you pee your wetsuit? Cold day, Ireland.
So
Scotland.
I used to do it a lot. Like, but I don't know, that New Jersey fabric, the dry quick fabric, it stinks when you pee in it. So like normally just like normal double line neoprene, it seemed to like we got washed out quite easily, but that Jersey fabric, the quick dry stuff, it stinks. I actually try not to pee in my wetsuit now.
Yeah.
I'll hold on and also I dry my wetsuit in the house. So like it's the bathroom my daughter's use, and I live in a house with 3 girls. So like, I'm just a dirty, stinky guy if I have a peed in wetsuit. So yeah.
And not only it stinks, but it also, like, if it dries and you leave it for a while, then you put it on and it gives you a really bad rashy too. I don't know. I found that.
It's just pretty disgusting. It's actually, you know what's worse? When I'm like chatting to like any of the girls that windsurf, and I'd be like, yeah, because obviously you don't pee in your wetsuit. And they're like, yeah. And you're like, oh, it's just like, you know, I'm all for equality, but, you know.
That's a double standard right there from you, because why not? You know, we pee, they pee.
Exactly. But, you know, I guess girls get grossed out when they hear guys pee in their wetsuit as well. So,
I don't get grossed out. Yeah, maybe it comes with age, though.
Yeah.
Everything does.
Guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure. I actually say going on a non-windsurfing holiday would be a guilty pleasure.
Is it though?
Yeah, because I feel really guilty because I'm not going windsurfing, but I really enjoy it when I'm forced to do it. Like, and it might be forced by circumstance. That sounds like a really spoilt thing to say. Yeah, my guilty pleasure is going, but like, yeah, like anytime I went to the south of France, like my wife's best friend, they live in Aix, and you know, Aix-en-Provence.
Yeah.
Which is actually obviously sick windsurfing there. But I actually had an amazing time. I think you speak to a lot of windsurfing guys and they don't want to go on those trips. But then when they are forced into a position, this was, I can't remember, it was a christening or a wedding, I can't remember. But it was really good fun. So it was a guilty pleasure, yeah. So, yeah, I love California. Like, so I would happily go on a trip to California just because I love it. Like, I'd maybe get a surf for a day or whatever, but I just like hanging out there. So but I feel guilty the whole time because I'm like, I could be windsurfing now.
It's a funny spin you put on it, because I would say the other thing, what I would say is like, taking your wife and daughter to California for a non-related trip, and then like see a forecast and just organize gear and just go surfing or windsurfing. That would be guilty. I think.
Like, don't get me wrong. If I could, I would. But yeah, like I do enjoy it. I think that's the point. You know.
But no, that's like sometimes. It's strong. Like I went to Mallorca with my girlfriend just because we just wanted to get away and whatever. And there was a forecast, and I happened to know a guy. And the guy hooked me up with everything, and it was like sick starboard, not sick, but it was really fun starboard tack, like side shore stuff. So
funny actually.
That's guilty.
when I went to California, actually, I hooked up, oh God, what's his name? My brain freeze. But he's a cop, like actually I shouldn't really say because I think he's an undercover cop. Like, so, yeah. But he's a really good windsurfer. Like, I will not say his name because he is undercover. Actually, I've remembered his name. That's kind of got me out of the whole thing of like nearly forgetting his name. But I got hooked up with him, and he said, "Oh, we'll go 2 hours north to Halama, which is 2 hours north of LA." And Halama Beach Park is like sick. Like, it's a full on, but that's quite an old school place to go. And it was starboard tack, sick, heavy beach break, like rad. And that was on the family trip. So yeah.
Hopefully your friend doesn't get shot too now.
Put it like this. The stories he told me from LA to Halama, I'm like, tell me more.
Yeah.
And like, he was Miami Vice stuff. Yeah.
Gnarly.
Like,
yeah.
Pretty rad.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The big one, your top 5 windsurfers of all time.
Number 1, my brother, Finn, definitely. He's this like underground shredder, like rips, like never talks about himself, windsurfing, just like full respect. Like, yeah, like he's won surfing national titles, SUP national titles, windsurfing national titles. Yeah, he just rips, was doing doubles like years ago. Yeah, goes to the gnarly spots, got me to the level that I'm at. Yeah, so like my older brother, Finn, he'd be number 1. I can't really say my dad too, because that's getting a bit done wasting them now. But if I could, I'd say my dad. But because he taught me. But I'd say, geez, like Brazilio's just insane. Like, just blows my mind. Like, just every day you watch him and go like, I gotta go up that next. Like, he keeps pushing the boundary. He's like the golfer that just gets better and better and better.
Yeah.
Like, where you didn't think that was possible.
And he absolutely killed Instagram. Like, I feel really bad putting anything on, like, an edit on Instagram.
One thing though, do you know one thing? And I know he'll never do it, but there's this bit of me, and this is a bit you hate about social media. I want to know more. This is the voyeur. I want to know, like, you could do a really good behind the scenes documentary on Brazilio, because all you see is if you look at his Instagram, and it's just windsurf. It's just performance windsurfing, which we love, because like.
But that's him. That's just him. It's like
I remember Philip said once, he goes, do you know what I hate the most? He said, I hate 1 minute intros. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes,
I love
the 1 minute. A 1 minute long intro where there's no windsurfing footage for the first minute. It's just like driving along the dirt road, the stereotypical stuff. And like, you ain't ever going to get that with Brazilio. It's like, press play. Within 3 seconds, he's done the raddest move ever. But yeah,
you can't freeze. You can't go frame by frame. I hate it about Instagram. Like, I want to slow motion it, and I want to, you know what I mean? I want to learn, and I can't fucking learn off this thing.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely him. God, like, it's kind of the underground guys. Like, I'd say, like, I'd even say like Ben Saverne, someone like him. He's like, you can be at Gnaraloo and there'll be like, maybe like some of the top guys in the world at Gnaraloo, and he'll go out and just like, it's not just because he's my sponsor, it's like anyone will say,
rips, yeah.
You're just like going, the fucking guy hasn't windsurfed for like maybe 2 weeks, and he just goes out and it's like the standout guy on the water. Jaeger, obviously, because it's just like his style is something you'd want to copy. And geez, who else? Like, I'm gonna say Philip, just because he's just so rad to watch. Like, I want to see his videos. Like, you know,
that he doesn't put out, that he fucking films every single day, every single session. And he
you don't swipe. Is it swipe left on Philip on Instagram? Like, you're like, you know, in the stories, you're like, when you see his like little red circle, you're like, okay, this is going to be good. There's never like there's never a half-assed move. I think like this is like, what date is it? It's the 25th of May, and Philip put a video out today or last night of him doing a push forward, and it was just ridiculous. You know,
perfectly landed. But you know what I like, Philip? He puts these kind of in between moves. He has. It looks like he has so much fun. Like, I don't know, does a wheelie skipper into freaking backwinded something, and like this kind of freestyly, but he's this massive dude that jumps freaking 20 meters in the air, but at the same time he has fun doing a wheelie skipper on his 5'8", you know. It's like, it really makes me want to windsurf, because these things are fun, you know, like some of the like for example, I can sometimes do the slide where you turn your board around and then you come in the beach on the white water fin first. I love that. Or or pull a cow or whatever. Yeah. So I love that shit, you know?
Yeah. So that I probably left out. There's so many people I'd add to that list. Just Scotty, Levi, flipping, Cisco's like, no one's ever going to bottom turn better than that guy ever, you know. There's just like, there's tons. Tomas, obviously, flipping, there's heaps. Yeah.
Okay, so now a little twist just for you. Some interview I read, you say, and that's a quote, "I met a few heroes in the sport. I wish I hadn't."
Oh yeah.
Who's that about?
There's an expression, never meet your heroes. Like, because you'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
God, I'm trying to remember who like, I don't want to like hurt their feelings. I think it was back in the day, I think, when windsurfers were like full on demigods, you know, like you were like, I can't, like, you kind of like wish they were like more what you saw, and they like, but they were full on heroes, you know. They were like a Messi or a Beckham, you know. They were getting that same treatment. Whereas I think more now you see windsurfing, and like a good example was we were in like the Isle of Lewis, and Cowley came with me, and there's only like 2 local guys that windsurf in the north of Scotland, and like they suddenly had like the 3-time windsurfing world. So there's another one for the list, Cowley. Like this guy who's just probably one of the best wave sailors there's ever been. And Cowley's there windsurfing with and I think it draws your attention to how accessible windsurfing is to, you know, you don't learn to drive and you look to your left and Lewis Hamilton is beside you. Whereas windsurfing, you know, you'd be learning the windsurf, and like Philip is at Pozo where you're learning the Naranaga, and the sport's such easy to accept.
It's also the social media, because when you see somebody on a VHS that you ordered and you waited 2 months to get, there's more to it than when you just scroll and you see, whatever, me messing around or doing these podcasts where, you really, I don't know, it's much more accessible not I think. Not only
the one guy who I'd say was the guy who you did want to meet your hero and you walked away and went, wow, was Robbie Nash. I remember when I was 18, I got the photo, or 17 or 18 in Maui. I'm like, oh, please, can I get my photo with you? And you felt such a kook. You were like, I'm so sorry to even have talked to you. And he was just like, oh, where are you from? And like super chatty. Yeah. Like, you still see that guy doing exactly the same thing now, and he's like as motivated.
Yeah, he's like larger than life personality,
Yeah, and he's genuinely, he's not false, he's sincere and at the same time. Maybe he isn't, but he's definitely I think he is. So
yeah. So who was that quote about? Come on.
I think. I'm pretty sure it wasn't a hero, but it was someone I'm not going to say it was, but it was like someone who I was like, they were a total dick, basically, when I met them. They were like totally the opposite of what their persona was. And you kind of went, oh, God.
But there's only a couple really big name windsurfers, so I can just go along the list and you're going to nod or deny, like Bjorn, Josh Angulo, Polakau, Josh Stone, I don't know.
No. They were all like, they're all like, actually, there's another one, Josh Angulo. Put him on the list. Actually, I did rehearse for this. Mark Angulo. He's number one. He's the guy. He's the number one. He actually maybe knocks my brother down. He's the guy. You look now at Hukipa and still no one's doing this stuff. Like, he just left the scene. He just walked away and just went, there you go. I've set the record straight. No one's as rad as me. And just, turn the light off. But he invented the mic drop, I guess.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
I've left the arena.
Yeah. So you dodged that question. I'm gonna let it slide. Most underrated windsurfer of all time. You named a few though on your
do you
top.
know who I think is like? I hope he doesn't think I stalk him on Instagram, but I've never met the kid. Is that Baptiste Cloriac? I think I pronounced that correct.
Yeah.
He shreds. And I love his vibe and his energy. And
pretty sure he thinks you stalk him because he has that little French swag / attitude, so
I could definitely I could see myself getting like investigated, because he's still young and stuff, so but I'd definitely be putting a bar on my profile if I was his parents. But he shreds, and he's got a real good vibe and energy, and he's like, he comes across as a super nice kid and shreds.
He rips.
He gets better every time you watch a clip, and he's just windsurfing in Brittany, So,
but that place is like a lab. It's like you can get side on and side off in one day, 200 meters away from each other, and which is like 500 meters from his house. Yeah,
I'd actually say all the Frenchies have got that vibe. Actually, a lot of those guys from the northwest of France are all that just, they just got like a funny passion and like they love it. A few of the guys actually come to Lanzarote in the autumn, and they're just like, they're welcome with open arms. You know, they're just good guys. You know.
Yeah.
I'd say him and like, just there's loads of guys all around the world who are just like ripping, you know, in their own way. Like in Cornwall, Ian Black is a guy I windsurf with a lot. And again, him, I could watch his bottom turn all day. You know, he's got like a type bottom turn and just random stuff.
Yeah. That's why I stopped wearing stickers on my wave sails, because you feel so bad. You arrive somewhere and the guy just...
Yeah, but do you not think, though, that everyone does something quite rad? Everyone has got like their little thing that they do slightly better than someone else. You know, like there'll be a move like, I don't know, not gonna blow smoke up your ass. Yeah, but like you got a really sick cutback, you know? Like, and everyone, I think, and
on the inside onshore though. That's my little, you know, side onshore port tack, open face cutback. That's my only thing.
But I mean, like, there's even like just a random guy at our home beach, and when the conditions are crap, the guy just like, I'm watching, I couldn't do that many fucking bottom turns and cutbacks on that shit wave, but he might be doing anything rad. He's not doing anything rad, but I'm like, I couldn't do that.
And you wonder why, like you said, I can kind of do this cutback, but like, and it looks okay, but then like my jumps are so unstylish. You know what I mean? Like, why would you be like, you know, look okay in one thing and then not look good? It's really funny with windsurfing.
Yeah.
So complex.
That guy, this random guy, again, you would say he's not a good windsurfer, but he's got this old starboard fish thing, and it's the only board that works in like this high waves, and he makes it look amazing, you know? So like everybody, like, you know, glass half full.
No, and you're also a good example, because you sometimes do stuff and you get fixated on stuff that nobody really does. Like for a while you were on this forward of the lip trip that you just like, okay, you know, and nobody like, okay, Victor might bust it out in Hokipa or whatever, but it's not a move that's on the radar. You know what I mean?
No.
And
I actually, with that move, I know you got to try 1,000 to land it. You know, you literally, but it's capable. A lot of people are capable of doing it, I'd say, the good guys, but they're never going to try 1,000. Yeah, because they got better things to do.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I think I can do 1,000 and move. So.
Yeah, and then the goiter is also your little pet one, no? Like I remember, like the really vertical one. Like people went away from it. Everybody does their more like kind of Ertaka style, and I remember like shouting to you from the beach, "Hey, do a goiter!" And you just freaking did a goiter on the first wave, like. Just super vertical, mast down, like, and landed it. So yeah, it's like you say, somebody have but some people have more like push forwards on two tacks, like Brasinho, you know, or it's
an expression. I'm probably going to get it wrong, but some people's perfume is other people's poison. You know, it's like you know, I think that's quite a good way to look at it. So.
Yeah. Look, one spot you'd have to sail every day for the rest of your life.
Lanzarote, for sure. Yeah,
but it's flat in the summer, no? So you have to sail in the flat too.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Jeez, fuck. It's gonna be hard not to say Maui. Like, I'd say Maui. Yeah, like I think everyone says that. You know, I when I was at school, from 17 to 20, I went to Maui every summer, So I've seen Maui in the summer, and it works in the summer every as well. Like people don't think it does, but it's like on. Like
people say, we don't have waves, and then you see like Brasilio posting a little summer bump, and it's like logo high, and you're like,
But what you don't see is like further down the coast, all the old school spots from the Neil Pride videos, like Camp One, they're like on every day. Like every day, it's like epic jumping there. Yeah. So Maui you could sell every day there. So if you've got the checkbook. So
worst check-in story.
So I was Maui, and I'd like hurt my knees like a couple of years previous. I tore my ACL, and I hadn't had the ACL reconstruction. And so like my knee would pop out. Anyone who's had an ACL rupture, they know if you don't get it repaired, you can still windsurf, but your knee will have tendency to pop out. And I think on that trip, it was a starboard photo shoot. And I remember I landed a push loop with my legs straight, which is how I did my ACL in the first place. But my knee popped out, and it's actually weird with an ACL, like your knee will pop out. It'll be the worst pain of your life for 5 minutes. And then the next day you can windsurf again, you know? So, but anyway, I was leaving Maui, 2 big board bags, full, like heavy board bags. I was going over to the check-in desk, and they give me my tickets, and they said, "Oh, can you take it to, the what are they called?
The bulky luggage disposal or whatever."
Like the security. And I grabbed the board bags, and I turn around and twist. And as I twisted with the heavy load in both hands, my knee popped out, but it popped out and locked. Locked, but my legs straight. So, and my wife's beside me, and I've collapsed, like fucking screaming. She's like going, "What the fuck's wrong with it?" And I realized straight away, if I don't shut up, they're not going to let me on the flight, because I think, being injured on a flight, especially in America, is really bad. So, I basically had fully blag that I was okay, but I might need a wheelchair just to get me to the queue. So they wheelchaired me to the queue, and I did a whole flight from Maui to London with my leg not being able to bend, like fully locked, but in 10 out of 10 pain the whole way. But I'd say that's my worst check-in story.
Yeah, that might be on top of the list for sure.
Yeah, my best one though was we turned up for a family trip to Maui, and the girl who was working at check-in worked for United Airlines, a really cool girl, and she upgraded the whole family to first class for free.
Wow, that's insane. Yeah. Power of the smile, huh?
Yeah. And you know what all that was? She was, anyone who goes to Maui, you'll know there's like a suntan cream in Maui, famous, called Maui Babe. And it's like this brown chocolate suntan oil. And if you're into suntanning, it's like the ultimate thing. And she flew a lot to Maui, and she said, "All I ask you to do is bring me back 3 tubes of the Maui Babe." And that's how much, must have been 15 grand's worth of first class tickets, cost me $20. So, yeah.
Sick. Perfect. Yeah. You get $1 million in cash, and you need to spend it in 24 hours. What do you get?
Wave pool.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah.
Wave.
I think these are getting, they're getting more and more realistic, let's say, right?
Yeah. I heard you did one with Graham Ezzy, and Graham said I'd invest in land in Maui, and I was like, you tore it out of him. You were like, he's just
Yeah, that's the like boys with toys question. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's I kind of have done all the sensible stuff. Like I actually did invest my money wisely, like when I was younger. So now I'm like, I want to blow it. No, you know, I would like if somebody gave me $1 million, I'd definitely get a wave pool. There's one in the UK now that's just like actually where we partnered with them. It's called The Wave in Bristol, which is like nowhere near any surf. And like, it's insane. It's so sick. Like you get barrels, like proper barrels, and there's no bad vibes in the water there because everyone queues. There's like an actual queue.
Yeah.
And you get 20 waves in 1 hour, 20 sick waves.
How much?
You get that's 50, so in euros, 60 euros.
For 20 waves?
20 waves.
That's really good. That's €3 a wave, man. That's sick.
Yeah. And it's guaranteed, like, you can get 2 waves per set if you paddle fast. But, like, you're so screwed when you get to the takeoff on the second one. I didn't make 1 second drop. But, yeah, it's like, I can't say enough good things about them. Yeah, they're, like, really good.
Insane.
But I'd get a wave pool.
Okay,
sure.
so that's on the UK trip as well, the Bristol wave pool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd love it. You'd love it.
Yeah. Last but not least, who do you want to hear on the podcast?
Jason Pryor.
Fuck, man, he's dodging. I mean, he's not dodging, but he's got like, every time I ride him, he's like, yeah, there's a swell tomorrow. Yeah, I'm up for a fishing trip tomorrow. I'm doing this. My kid's doing that. Like,
He's just the best. He is the best. Like, I think this is a thing that a lot of people don't get to experience now. Like our generation, like I'm obviously 48. So, Jesus, like 30 years ago was when I was like a young kiddie going to Maui. And that was just when Jason and all those guys were trying to break through. And man, he's one of the funniest, nicest guys ever. Totally genuine, totally sincere, hilarious. And he will, I'm sure you see what he writes on the old school Windsurfers.
Yeah.
He says it as it is. Which,
no filter, which is rare. Even the guys that, like, I talked about this with, there's this other podcast that's like, sometimes we podcast with these guys that are Casper and James. They're like slalom sailors. But anyway, so they asked me straight up, like, how much do you cannot show and cannot talk about? And I'm like, fuck, there's actually quite a bit. You know what I mean? It's like, you wish you would be able to actually tell the people how it,
we've all got like amazing stories that you keep to your like close buddies, and they're all hilarious. He's got gold. Like he has got, like you'd need like two podcasts just to do that. You like, okay, let's hear your windsurfing stories, and then let's hear just stories, just stories, like gold. He's hilarious. He's like, and a genuine nice guy, and I think that would be like I'd put money into Ben's pot. If Ben did a collection pot for Jason, you'd fill it up pretty quick. I think that's what you should do, because like Jason, what is anyone that knows Jason? He's a super hardworking guy. Like, he grafts. He didn't get dealt a silver spoon. Like he'd be the one person who's deserving of donations for a podcast, and you won't be disappointed.
for sure.
Like, give him like, a bit of money to like upgrade his like echo sounder on his boat, and he'll talk.
Yeah. Okay, that might be a tactic. Yeah.
Use that as a tactic. Money talks, and he'll tell you that. Show me the money. Show me the Benjamins. Classic.
Yeah, that's classic. Thanks, Timo. Thanks a lot, man. It was actually surprisingly quite. We kept it quite serious.
Yeah, like I think that's just my age now. But like, there's. I think anyone that knows me knows like I actually do have quite a serious side, and I let loose like all of us. But I think it's good to keep some things like some stories that you keep to the boys, and but if you ever see me on the beach or anything, like always say hi, and I'll always give some advice. My best bit of advice I ever give to anyone was a guy in Cape Town came up to me and went, "I'm having real trouble with my forward loops." And he was an Italian guy. And I said, "Yeah, no worries, mate." Just kind of like told him, like, we all know there's certain things if you tell someone with forward loops, it's a pretty easy move to learn if you know the right things to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, I keep this short and sweet. The guy, I got an email about 3 months later from this like random like company. It almost was like, I ignored the email, then got a phone call follow up going with an Italian voice going, "Hi, we represent Fiat, the car company. We'd like to sponsor you and give you a free car." And I actually went, "Fuck off. I know this is a wind up. I know who this is." I thought it was Skyboy or one of the guys on a wind up. And she's like, no, seriously. I said, "No, seriously, fuck off." Like, and so anyway, it turned out the guy that owned the PR marketing company that looked after Fiat
that was the guy,
he was the CEO of that company. And when they came to give out the sponsorships for each country, this guy said, when the Ireland one comes round, he has to get the Irish sponsorship. So I actually got a free car, and it was like 10,000 euros a year for 3 years. Like just for
being nice. Yeah.
Talking to somebody on the beach. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well,
it's good.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good one. Good one to end on. Cheers, Timo.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, and hopefully see you, because if I see you, means it's windy and wavy, and
exactly. You're always welcome here. So cool.
Cheers, man. Appreciate it.
Nice one, buddy. Take care.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
So there you go, Timo Mullen. I told you he's got some stories, and he's right. We need to see Jason Pryor on this podcast. I've seen him on the, I think it's the Old School Forum on Facebook, and he has been putting out some stories which you just would love him to be doing on a podcast. He could be a regular feature, I'm sure about it. If you want Jason Pryor, and you've got him on Facebook, or you've got to tag him in this and tell him to come on the podcast. We have had contact. We just haven't nailed him down yet. If you want to see anyone else on this podcast, let us know in the comments below. If you enjoy the podcast and want to keep them coming and maybe chip in a few beers, it's much appreciated. You can do that with the link below. Become a member of Windsurfing.TV, support the channel, and obviously support the podcast. Thumbs up, like, subscribe, and do all those fun things. And we'll see you for Send It Sessions on Sunday.